Annie!
Hey, we made it.
How are you?
Wonderful. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Oh, so good to see you.
So good to see you too. Such a long time, yeah?
Oh, goodness. We're ancient, the two of us. Yeah.
I forgot how funny you are.
Am I funny, really? I always thought about myself as being super serious.
Well, Annie, I want to say thank you for joining these conversations on Sunday mornings.
Thanks for coming.
Somehow it was a way for me to reconnect with all of you, with all my friends from University of Michigan, and to share with everyone our experience at Michigan, but also our our life experiences with music and with in your case with the piano.
Nice.
So
Thank you. That's an awesome idea, actually. I thought it when I
thank,
first saw you doing this at the end of summer. I was, wow, this is actually such a fun idea and a wonderful way for us to reconnect. Thank you for
thank
coming.
you.
That's really awesome.
So Annie, I always like to ask the question: where are you from originally?
I was born in Bulgaria a long time ago. I'm not going to tell you how long. Yeah, I'm Bulgarian, but I've been living in the States for, I don't know, 22 years. 22 years, yeah.
Are you from Sofia or some?
No, I'm from the sea coast actually, the town of Burgas, city of Burgas, which is on the sea coast, and that's where I spent my childhood and my teen years. And then I moved
Mhm.
to Sofia to study at the conservatory there. But
Uh-huh.
I lived in Sofia. I came from Sofia when I came to Michigan. I was already living in Sofia. Yeah.
And when did you started playing piano?
I started actually very late, according to our standards. I started when I was fifth grade, 11 years old. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Tell
But
me about it.
well, my parents are not musicians, so we didn't have an instrument at home or anything of the sort. And I was, I suppose, musical. I was singing in a choir, and I watched this movie, this old Russian movie about a girl who had a very nice old grand piano, really old from before the revolution or something. And the instrument was so old that it was beyond repair at one point. So her parents decided to sell it and buy her one of those modern upright pianos. And she was missing her instrument so much that she was traveling. I mean, she went around town to find it. And I thought that it was such a special bond she had with that instrument, and it was really beautiful when she played. It was so touching. So I told my mom I want to play the piano, and yeah, my parents had very serious conversation about it. That's the first time I heard my parents quarrel, actually, because
Mhm.
my mom was insisting on buying me a piano, and my dad said that he doesn't want to buy me such expensive toy. I guess he had the feeling that I was spoiled girl or something.
Mm.
But my mom persisted, and eventually we got a piano. So that's how I started.
That's great.
Yeah,
And do you have siblings?
I have a brother. Yes,
A brother,
yes.
older or younger?
He's a year and 4 months younger than me. He lives in San Diego. He's a math genius.
Uh-huh.
He's always been extremely smart. And when we were kids, teens rather, he was in the Bulgarian national Olympic team for math. So he started doing computer science, and so he moved to the States. He got hired here, and he's been living here. Actually, he moved to the States before me. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
So I was just curious if you were following someone with music or was just that
No,
TV.
it was me. It
That's
was
good.
just me. But I mean, my parents loved music. We were listening to opera, and we had a really nice orchestra and opera house in my city. But none of my family is in the music
That's
business.
That's great. And so you studied in your hometown, and then you studied in Sofia, yeah?
Yes, my hometown had one of the 7 music schools, high schools. And so I applied literally 2 years after I started, I applied. And I actually progressed, I guess I progressed really fast. So my teacher decided um, it's a good thing for me to do, apply to the school, and I got accepted. And then I moved to Sofia to study at the conservatory. Yeah.
Mhm. And how does the conservatory works at Bulgaria? Did you do you go there as a can you start earlier than like university level?
No,
How does it
you have
work?
to graduate from high school first, and then you apply to it. So it's undergrad studies. Um, I know that some conservatories, like in France, like Paris Conservatory, you can actually start earlier, and the system in France is a little different. But for us, this is an university level, undergrad level, and grad after that level studies. So you have to be 18 or 19 or whatever it is when you graduate high school. So long ago, I can't remember how old I was. Yeah, but yeah, you finish high school and then you apply, and this is your undergrad for 4 years. And then you can do, I did after the 4 years, I did something we called masterclass, which is the equivalent of artist diploma here. 2 years of piano and chamber music kind of studies. And then I came to the States for my
And
grad.
how was I I don't want you to compare, but naturally we do in terms of how do you feel was your experience in studying in your home in your country, no?
Right. Well, it was, I mean, it was very rigorous. It was very strong school, a lot of work. As I said, we had music schools as high schools. With that was the profile. So we studied a lot. All the music subjects: harmony, polyphony, solfeggio, music history, music literature, piano literature, rather. Chamber music, choir, piano, and so on and so on. So that was my focus for high school. And it was, yeah, I would say it was very rigorous. We had in comparison to here, for example, we had much more many lessons. I remember I had 2 lessons a week every week, and sometimes my teacher would ask me to come extra when I was preparing for competitions or concerts. So it was really rigorous, I would say, in comparison to what I see kids have here. If you think about Interlochen, for example, that would be the equivalent, with concentration on music and with a lot of hours spent practicing and studying different subjects. And then the conservatory, I think it's like everywhere else. It's the concentration is on music, so we didn't have to take any other subjects. We were not associated with any university. I know that some of my undergrad colleagues at Michigan were taking some classes outside of the School of Music to probably fulfill some of their requirements. But for us, it was conservatory, so it was just music really related subjects. Yeah.
Yeah, I did my undergrad in the States at a university, and yeah, there are many classes that you have to take besides music. But I guess it's a way of well-rounded
education. That is true. I think it's actually that's something missing if you're concentrating on music. I think that type of education that we had, I think now maybe they have slightly different model, but that's education that we had when I was growing up was so heavily concentrated on your specialty that you had to be really serious and you had to know pretty early in life what you want to do and that this is going to be your profession. Otherwise, I would say it's kind of limiting, right? Because you can, if you have broader education, you can go into something else. And some of my colleagues did, as a matter of fact. I have some good friends. Some of them became lawyers. um, and that some of them became TV personalities. They or they have different radio or television jobs. So some of my colleagues actually are not doing music now. So, yeah,
And
must be hard.
and maybe thinking about today, is the education, is it free?
Yes, I mean free. There are no free lunches anywhere. It just depends on who pays for it. So it is state education. I'm not 100% sure about now. There might be some taxes, but they're very minimal. In Europe, in general, education is very inexpensive when it comes to you paying out of your pockets. Of course, the government pays. We pay without taxes, so
Yeah,
it's just different.
of course.
Yeah, somebody pays for it, right? Those professors are not doing it just for the fun of it, right?
You're right.
I mean, it just depends on which system you're on.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just curious because
Right. I
here,
didn't have to pay there, and I was very lucky actually. I was on full scholarship at Michigan. I have no student loans or student debt at all because I was on full scholarship at Michigan as well for my grad studies. So I feel very fortunate
yeah,
because of that. Speaking of
yeah.
money and education, yeah.
I was just curious because this is an issue that we have been dealing with in Chile, no, about education. Like you said, of course, somebody has to pay for it, but it's just so expensive here right now to study that I wanted to have a point of reference with what is happening in your country, no?
Right.
And I was lucky too, because when I was for my undergrad, I did my undergrad in the United States, and also I had full scholarship. And then at Michigan, I had half a scholarship, but then the second year I got the full scholarship. No.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you go to private lessons, it's not free, obviously. But once you're in school, and as I said, there is an opportunity for you to be in music school. Actually, there is an opportunity to be in music school starting from first grade. It's not just a high school. So there are several entry points, so to say, at preschool, and then at first grade, and then at middle school at fourth grade, and then starting eighth grade. So after seventh grade. So it is. If you're in school, then it's free. Um, there might be some taxes, but very small taxes for like student fees or something of the sort. I'm not really familiar how with the system right now, but it is a state education.
So Annie, tell me how it was for you to come to the United States.
Well, I came to study. As I mentioned, I graduated from everything I could graduate at my conservatory, and I at the time actually I was not going to be coming to Michigan. I was thinking of going to another place, University of Kansas, actually at Lawrence. There was a professor there who was the last student of one of the last students of Franz Liszt. So a really big legacy. He was only 26 when Shostakovich invited him to be on the jury of Tchaikovsky, and he was on the jury for decades. I actually met him at one of those international competitions, and I did several master classes with him, and so he invited me to come study with him. And I sent my video, and I don't think it was video at the time, it was just audio. And I was accepted there, and I was thinking how, it was in the summer. I had to come up with a very small sum. I didn't have full scholarship there. I don't think they gave full scholarships. I had to come up with like $10,000-$15,000 or something. And that was a lot of money for me back then. No, not so much. But back then, and so I was thinking what to do. And that summer, I saw one of my friends, high school friends. She's a violinist, by the way. and she was studying already in the States, and we met accidentally. I haven't seen her in years, and maybe 4 or 5 years. And I didn't see her after I came here. I didn't see her for another 5 or 7 years. So I met her once. I saw her once. I think that was the finger of fate, as we say in Bulgaria. So I saw her at this concert. We were at this festival, and I saw her at this concert, and it was really awesome to, reconnect. And we chatted, and she was like, "What are you doing?" And I just graduated. And I told her I'm thinking of actually coming to the States. And she said something interesting to me, and she said that if you're going for grad school, it's probably better to go to a really good school. And I happen to know a professor who recently started at one of the best schools in the States, University of Michigan, and I'm going to give you his coordinates. And I think she gave me his address or email or something. Back then, it was just email. I had a computer, by the way, one of the few people in Sofia who had a computer, because my husband's at the time we were just living together. I don't think we were married at the time. His business was, he needed to have communications with the world, and so we had a computer, but I was checking email once a week or something. So I don't even remember if I wrote him, but he sent me a letter. She gave him my address, and he sent me a letter inviting me personally to come apply, and I was really very flattered, I would say, that somebody of his importance was taking the time to write me. And so I actually reconsidered and came to apply to Michigan in February of next year, and I came to Michigan this way. So I came to study, basically.
And who was this teacher?
Logan Skelton.
Yeah, Logan Skelton.
Right.
Yeah. Because there are so many teachers in Michigan.
Michigan actually had pretty good teachers. Anton Nell was there at the time. Now he's in Texas somewhere. Green is still there, and and Logan.
Yeah.
And, there were others, of course, but I studied with him both for my master's and my doctorate. So I was 5 years there.
That's great. That's great. And during those years is when we actually met.
Yes. Fun years. Michigan was a really fun place. Lots of awesome people I got to meet there. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I always say here in these conversations, it's just incredible how friendly everybody was, no? Yeah. And also we mingle so much, because you're a pianist, and I could actually not even get close to you because I'm not a pianist, but just the feeling of the university was so incredible, just so friendly that we would all connect. Yeah,
absolutely. First, there were people from all over the world, which was really amazing. I was coming from a pretty closed system. At the time, Bulgaria was already, that was after the fall of the wall. I was still in high school when the fall fell. But Bulgaria was still a very closed country. Traveling happened only with visas. Bulgaria was not part of the EU yet, so I had to have a visa for everywhere, really, when I wanted to travel. There were not that many international students in Bulgaria. There were people from Greece and some Asian countries at the conservatory, but very few, individuals here and there. And I came to Michigan, and there were people from all over the world, and that was absolutely amazing, because I love world cultures, and I love getting to know people that represent those cultures. The languages, I absolutely love, people with accents. And everybody was so enthusiastic about anything music. I remember one of my first memories. I used to live the first year before my husband came to join me. He was finishing his master's back at home, so he was not with me the first year. I don't know if you remember. I was on my own, and I lived downtown. I lived on the central campus, or on North Ingalls, which was right behind Hill Auditorium. And one of my first memories was the morning when we lined up in front of Hill to get tickets for the season. And everybody was envious of me because I was living right there. So I literally had to cross the street. And so I got there probably around 7:30 or something. I think they opened at 8. And I saw this long line of young people um, lining to get tickets for classical concerts. I still have somewhere a picture of that line. It was unbelievable. I mean, I've never seen people lining up like to a rock concert, literally. Some of them camped all night to get tickets for classical concerts, and that was quite amazing. Everybody was so enthusiastic about music, and those were not just people from the music school. But I remember how wonderful it was to collaborate and do things together. And actually, while I was in Michigan, I managed to do 2 or 3 concerts with orchestra that I put together. You guys, friends and colleagues and conductors. Chris Kim was conducting one of them. Petko conducted the other one, the other of the concerts. I'm just wondering if it was. I think it was 3 concerts. Yeah, three concerti I played. The Beethoven triple, one Beethoven, one Mozart concerto. So, and this was just extra work. Nobody was paid, obviously. I couldn't pay the orchestra. People just did it for the love of music and for the love of collaboration. So people were absolutely awesome there.
Yeah. No, it was incredible.
Yeah.
Katri says, hi, Annie. Hi, Ale.
Hi, Katri. So good to see you. I saw your conversation earlier. The first conversation was with Katri, I remember.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw it.
Awesome. I remember a very good friend of you, Irena Portenko from Ukraine. Yes, and I remember seeing you both all the time together, no? And you were so tall, and beautiful.
That's right.
Yeah. And I remember every time I would see both of you in the hallway, I will say, the Bond girls, no?
Right. We were the Bond girls.
Yeah, you actually were. And with the accent, exactly, with that accent, no?
Eastern European accents, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
It was interesting that you mentioned about going and buying tickets for the concerts from the University of Michigan Musical Society, right?
Yeah.
And because there were so many concerts, not just classical music, but I remember going to a salsa concert there. Arturo, all these incredible musicians, popular musicians. And I remember that I would be usher, so I could actually go to the concerts for free.
I know. There were all those little, we were students. We obviously didn't have lots of money.
Yeah.
But there were so many wonderful ways to, not cheat the system. I don't think that was cheating the system. We were working for those things, right? But
no, actually, you will get there earlier, so you will spend time there. But I also remember, I don't remember the name of the place, the small place that we would go and listen chamber music, the concert hall. That there.
It was part of. I think it was part of the. What was the name of the grad school? Rackham.
Rackham. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was part of that building structure. I can't remember the name of it either.
But I also
remember.
But I remember hearing amazing chamber music concerts. The American String Quartet, that actually the American String Quartet was there in residency when I was studying there.
That's right. I think they were there for almost a whole year, if not.
Yeah, maybe 2 years. So it was really incredible.
Yeah. No, it was amazing opportunity to hear some of the world orchestras, but also, fantastic chamber music, as you're mentioning, fantastic pianists. As I said, in Bulgaria, we would have a pretty closed system. So the soloists that would come, or the orchestras that would come, were mostly Russian or from the Eastern European countries. We would have here and there, some interesting guest appearances, but nothing like in Michigan. For a year in Michigan, I've heard more world musicians and orchestras than all my life in Bulgaria. So
Yeah.
that was quite impressive. And I'm very, very lucky to be living in downtown Chicago. The Chicago Symphony is literally 3 blocks away from here. And I actually moved here. My last year, my DMA year, I got to apply to this place here, to Roosevelt University, and I won the position. And my colleagues were from the Chicago Symphony, and just the level of music making of Chicago Symphony and all the orchestras that are coming, all the musicians. There's chamber music and there is a piano series here. I'm considering myself extremely lucky to be able to listen live to the best of the best in the world. So
Absolutely.
I think
It's
America
incredible.
I'm very lucky to be here.
Yeah.
America is a very, very good place for me in that
I
sense.
remember these are one of the crazy things that you do when you are a student, but um, I, I went with a friend to Chicago. Actually, he had relatives there and he needed to go to do something specifically.
Mhm.
And we left Ann Arbor very late. And 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 after he did all his stuff, we managed actually to go to a blue bar
Oh yeah,
to hear blues live. It was just incredible.
incredible. Yeah, I live here by the Jazz Showcase. Blues jazz here is absolutely amazing. I live by the Jazz Showcase. It's right across the street. I see it actually from my window in the Dearborn station. And then across on the other side of State, actually Wabash, literally over there, kitty corner, there is a fantastic buddy. It's called whatever. I can't remember, but the Blue Club that is really, really amazing also. And I mean, there's so many amazing places here for after hours.
And Annie, I see that you're playing a lot,
Yeah.
and you're doing
Not right now,
well, no, now of course,
but yeah.
but you're doing also different things. Could you tell us about that? And probably Chicago has a lot to do with that too, no? Or
Yeah,
not
I mean,
necessarily?
living in a world city like this gives you a lot of opportunities, but also inspiration and lots of ideas, and you get to meet a lot of fantastic musicians and artists in general of any other genres. I'm doing interesting collaborations with people that are not only musicians. As I said, I moved here to teach. I was a full-time professor for a good 5 years or so. Before Peter was born and before we moved to DC. And I didn't have that much time to perform then. I would probably play about 10 concerts a year, which was not a lot. But then, as I said, I took maternity leave for good 3 years until the kid was, ready to start going to preschool. And then 2011, I came back, so to say, started playing. At the time, I had a really great collaboration with a cellist. We created a duo, and we did some very interesting projects and started touring, and everything exploded. In the first couple of years, we had over 100 concerts. And later he moved to world music, so he's no longer doing classical music. So we kind of no longer work together actively. But meanwhile, I also picked up lots of other projects with other musicians and started playing solo. And I've always been interested in collaborating with many people, many different people. And I have friends from all different arts, dancers from the Joffrey Ballet, um, artists, painters, actors, photographers, fashion designers. So I've done a lot of collaborations with different people. We've created films, dance and music. I've created salons, actually. I have, and unfortunately this year is very unusual, but I usually have 3 salons in my studio here, the Fine Arts Building, which fits about 50, 60 people. So it's really like a salon with culinary arts, with a 5-course menu, and visual arts, a painter or a photographer, an artist that I'm presenting, and music. So everything takes, the theme is whatever the art is, and we're trying to match the food and the music actually. So it's an evening themed evening, and it has created a lot of opportunities for a lot of people to meet and socialize. And it's one of the things that sells out just like this. Really, people love things like this, and I think it's just our willingness to connect and need to connect, not willingness. I should say it the other way. Need to connect with others, and I think it's really wonderful when we can cross borders and reach to other art forms. Even I have an album that's called Fantasies, Fairy Tales, and Nightmares. Even a project like this, which is an audio project, I actually treated it as more as a collaboration with a visual artist. I had a fashion designer create the costumes for me. I had a really great photography, fantastic graphic designer, one of the best in Europe, creating the jacket of the album. So it is a multi media, so to say, experience. It's not just the music that you're listening, but also you have. It was inspired by Midsummer Night Dream by Shakespeare. So there is a quote in the inside from Shakespeare, and so on and so on. So there is this always in my mind. There's always connections to other art. So.
And do you think about these things, or is a collaboration kind of thing?
I usually come up with those projects. I usually kind of cook those projects. I have here a notebook where in the middle of the night when I wake up with an idea, I write it down. Or I love also traveling a lot. During, flying, I think about lots of different ideas, and lots of ideas come to me in those times. And I write them down, and then eventually develop the project and find the right people to collaborate with. And sometimes I just know fun people, and we sit down and say, okay, we have to do something together, usually. Drinking something fun, and we're just thinking what we can do together. And some really pretty interesting things have come up out of this. So
that's great.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love people and collaborating with them.
It's interesting because, well, you know that I have been conducting for almost 10 years.
Yeah, good for you. That's awesome.
And one of the reasons that I love conducting is this idea of putting people together. No, of course the works are just incredible, but just the idea of creating community. It's just there's something about me that it calls me. No.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're very similar in that sense with you, because I put people together. I often, a lot of people ask me for references because of my connections with the fashion industry or with the photographers. And a lot of people would ask me, I need a good photographer for this project. So I put people together because I know a lot of people, and I know that they're going to be really good together. And I'm helping a lot of people find their collaborators and find whoever they need for different projects. And I really love that. So I absolutely know what you're talking about.
Annie, for these projects, what kind of music do you play? Do you play music that's already like Chopin or Liszt, or you bring also new repertoire, new pieces to the map? How?
I'm more of a classical gal, so I really like the classical repertoire, and especially since piano repertoire is humongous. I have a long list of pieces that I still want to learn, and a huge repertoire actually myself. But I've played some contemporary music. Usually, I mean, there were a couple of pieces that we commissioned with that cellist that I told you about. We commissioned from a local composer here in Chicago, and I've been premiering some pieces back in Bulgaria when I was still a student there. I premiered one of the pieces of the piano that is now a standard piano repertoire. And in Michigan, I played a couple of pieces that from the Michigan composers. Tom, I think, we played something with Irena. Actually, it was for two pianos. And I played some with Don Cinta, and that was not a premiere, of course, but it was contemporary music with Don Cinta and Jennifer Larson. We did I Never Saw Another Butterfly, Elwood Durr cycle for a Holocaust inspired, I mean, music about the Holocaust. And so I play some contemporary music, but I would say the core of my work is with the classical established repertoire. I'm part of the establishment.
And Annie, during this time of pandemic, have you had time to learn new repertoire?
Yes, that's the only thing you can do right now, because it's really sad that this time came and put a halt on everything we've been doing. It got me in the middle of a busy season. We got shut down here in mid-March, and I was actually literally 2 weeks later, I was supposed to be touring China. That actually got canceled sometimes in February. They already knew it was going to be impossible. So I was actually a little ahead of everybody else in terms of knowing how severe this thing may be. Mm. But I wasn't expecting it to last so long. So yeah, China got canceled, and then in April the following month, I had Vienna, Rome, and Sofia concerts. Those got canceled. Concerts in Michigan, here in the States mostly for the rest of the season. But I was hoping, by summer we would be able to travel. I usually travel in Europe in the summer, but as you know, that didn't happen. So one of the sad things about this pandemic is that we are kind of stuck in one place. And I traveled a little bit here and there, kind of short trips to kind of keep my sanity. But yeah, because I'm used to, I fly at least twice a month, at least, out of here. And we travel also by car quite a lot for Peter's competitions. But so that's the sad part and the difficult part. But on the other hand, being grounded for such a long time gives you opportunity to, as you say, learn new rep, spend some time with your family, rethink a lot of your moves, and your values come in place a little more, in focus a little more. And so, yeah, I've been studying new repertoire. I actually discovered a new, not new concerto, but a concerto that I was not even familiar with, a toccata by Respighi. That is actually a very awesome piece, and I started learning it now. I brushed on several concerti. I learned couple of sonatas by Beethoven that I didn't know before. I'm working now on some two piano repertoire, the symphonic dances, Rachmaninoff symphonic dances and Poulenc sonata, for a concert that's happening in January, hopefully. Everything is canceled until December for sure. Yeah. And some of my concerts that were part of series, that the whole series for the whole season got canceled. So those got canceled for the spring. I still have several engagements that are, lingering there. And I'm hopeful that now, especially with the emerging of vaccines, things may start changing, because there is talk that they're going to start vaccination, the first vaccinations even this year by the end of December. Obviously not people like me that are healthy and young. But the medical workers and the people at risk, the elderly and so on and so on, are probably going to be on the front of that line of
Mhm.
getting vaccinated. So I hope things are going to start changing, in the beginning of next year. So
Yeah.
hopefully we'll be able to save some of the remaining season, some places. I mean, as you know, large institutions like the Met or New York Phil, they canceled the entire season, so they won't be back until September for sure. Who knows even then? But Chicago Symphony canceled until March for now. I hope there's still something happening at the very end of the season. So, but
Yeah.
you never know. So
I had a concert in February that it got cancelled, and I don't know what is going to happen in March, because we start our season in March to
we do it a
December.
little different. Yeah, here,
Yeah.
as you know, it's September, October till
Mhm.
May, June, and then it's the summer festival season. So yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. So Annie, tell me what. Of course, like we're talking with the pandemic, it's very hard to predict anything, or but we dream anyways,
Oh yeah, always.
right? What do you dream about, in terms of course of your music on in a short term
Right.
first?
Well, I'm really hopeful that we will be able to salvage some of this season, because I'm telling you, it's not fun to be sitting at home not knowing when you're going to be performing next. It's not. For a little bit of part of the summer, it got me really bad. I was a little depressed, just a little. Um, but because it's not that much that you're not doing anything in terms of performing at the moment, but just you don't know when. I mean, if they tell me your next concert is in 6 months, for sure, I can survive those 6 months, and I can be
Yeah.
ready, but it's hard. That the unknown is hard. So I wouldn't say it's really a dream, but I'm hoping. A hope is that we can salvage some of this season, and we can still make some music this season, and obviously for things to come back on a more regular basis starting next season, September. But I'm hoping that this pandemic is not going to have a devastating effect on our industry, because the arts have been hit very, very, very hard, and a lot of musicians, a lot of colleagues don't have the means of surviving this, because we are. I mean, I'm not a full time anywhere. I'm not part of an orchestra that is paying me now. I'm not teaching full time, um, so it is difficult. Luckily, I have a supportive family, and I've made some good investments of my money, so I'm not bleeding to the point that I cannot survive financially. I'm talking.
Mhm. Mhm.
But um, there are a lot of colleagues that are in very difficult situations. And I hope this pandemic actually helps us understand how important arts are, music and other arts, and how vulnerable people that create the magic are, and how we need to take care of them. Um, I don't see any will right now, at least here in America, to even consider, some help for the musical institutions or the musicians, especially the music from the so-called gig economy. People that are freelancers, people that are in small orchestras that are not able to continue paying them. Um, I hope people understand how important our work is, and that we were absolutely unprepared to shield the people that are making music or making art, and from a situation like this. And I hope this will give us some good starting points of valuing more what musicians and other artists do, and having a plan for for art, for culture in general. I'm talking mostly about this country because this is where I live.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure the situation is very difficult everywhere. I have colleagues all over the world, and
Yeah, absolutely.
is in
It's,
in a tough spot as well.
it's interesting to hear you because, like, for one part, it's like we as artists, like, um, we need people to understand what we do, in a way, so they appreciate the work that we do.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, is is like we as musicians specifically, but as artists in general, it's like we also is the moment to, like you said before, to reflect
Mm-hmm.
on our values,
Mm-hmm.
on, but more than anything, I think on the role in our society. Like sometimes as artists, we take things for granted, no? And
Yeah.
now is the moment that we need to not take things for granted, realize, wow, uh, the arts are very important for human beings,
Mm-hmm.
no? And like take responsibility of that too, like in the sense of, am I am I doing my best,
Right.
like
It's not
constantly?
just a job. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
You're absolutely on target. It's not just a job, although sometimes it certainly feels like. You know, you board the plane, you arrive, you rehearse, you play, you stay in a hotel room, you board the plane, you go to the next place. It can feel like a job and can feel like it is at times, hard and um, tiring.
mm,
But at the same time, um, we have to realize how lucky we are to be, first of all, in contact with this the eminence of the human spirit. I mean, sitting down on the piano every day playing a sonata by Beethoven or some short piece by Brahms. I can't tell you how much appreciative I am of that.
yeah,
First of all, because what it does to me as a person, and how comforting that is, and how it's like a therapy, really, a meditation. And but also to see how to realize and remind ourselves. I know that we know that, but remind ourselves how important that is for people around us. Um, People really need this, and it's without this there's no humanity. Without the arts there is no humanity, no
mm,
matter how important the economy is for you know physical survival, and for thriving of a country. Without the arts, without this, we just don't have much left as humans, right? So
yeah. Well, this is a study that says that just by listening to classical music, even if you don't want to be there, no, just by listening to it, it elevates your human spirit, no.
absolutely.
And I think this is what all of this is about. Actually, it's hard to talk about it because there are no words to express what we feel
Yeah.
when we make music, when we study. No, it happens to me too. Like I even when I practice, I still practice violin, and it's this sense of, it like makes me like feel like a better person. Like after I finish studying, it's like my heart is 3 times bigger than
Here,
when I started.
yeah.
No?
It really, I mean, it's just amazing when I notice that I go down. I mean, my mood goes down, or my spirit in general goes down when I'm not able to work enough. Sometimes and sometimes when I feel edgy, I just that's my prescription. Like, I need to practice a little. I need to study. I need to work. And you're right. I mean, what it does to you, first of all, is practicing and working, studying is such a creative process and such a discovery kind of a process that's after spending good couple of hours, drilling on something and finding all those things and discovering the genius of the either the way it was constructed formally, like analyzing how things were created by the composer, or just experiencing that fantastic when things start clicking and you start feeling, all right, I'm making the music and not just playing the notes. What it does to your brain. I mean, I don't think there is a drug more powerful or a drink, more intoxicating. I think this is the highest of highs that I can imagine. I don't know if everybody can feel that. People that don't make music, I don't know if they feel what goes in our brain. But you probably have seen that. But I've seen this little movie showing what happens in the brain of a musician when they make music. When you think, there's certain centers that lit, connections, electric connections that happen in your brain. And they would show you a brain of a person who reads, or a brain of a person who talks, or a brain of a person this and that, and then a brain of a musician, and you see the whole brain exploding with it's like fireworks, and it's absolutely that. I think it's this kind of fantastic high. All your centers in your brain are illuminated with that energy. It's amazing. I think it's as hard as being a musician is, and as disadvantage as it is in terms of economic status. I mean, I can make probably 5-6 times more money being a CEO of a large corporation, but as hard and as appreciated financially it is, I think it's the best thing you can do with your life. I mean, I'm so lucky. I think I'm very lucky in that, and we are very lucky being musicians.
Yeah, absolutely. I think music probably is the best thing that has happened to me.
Absolutely. Same
In
thing.
my yeah. That's so, it's so great to talk to you, Annie. And we're like 5 minutes before the hour is finished.
That was an hour. I have the feeling we can sit here and chat all day. Yeah.
No, but I'm so happy that we touched this subject about music and about arts in our society. No.
Yeah, I think
it is essential.
Role. Yeah, it has a great role to play in any society, and I hope, especially hard times like this, help us realize that. Remember when the Second World War was going, and I don't know if it is a myth, but Churchill was faced with some hard decisions about budgeting this and that, and somebody was suggesting cutting funding for arts or culture, and he said, if we do that, why are we actually fighting this war?
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not 100% sure this is exactly what happened. It might be.
I think it is.
But it is actually very true, and I hope it did happen. I hope people and politicians are realizing how essential this is for our spirit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I didn't know about that Churchill.
I have to do a research to see if that is really true. But this is something I've seen a couple of times, and was it a meme or something, or I can't even. I read so many different things and watch so many different things. I don't even know where my sources are. But, yeah, why are we fighting the war then?
Yeah, Annie, I'm so happy that you're here with me this morning, and also to remember our times at Michigan. That honestly, I treasure them so much in my heart.
Yeah.
And we did so much. I mean, I was there for 5 years. Actually, it was a lot, but it was just so intense.
Yeah,
No,
same
so
here.
intense.
5 years. Yeah, absolutely. So much stuff. We did together. We did. Remember, we did a Schumann quintet. We played
Yeah,
with the
I
graduate.
remember.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean,
and
so
also,
fantastic connections.
yeah, and also what you mentioned before about the city, because I think Ann Arbor is special in that way, no?
Yeah.
It's it's a small town, but so rich, no,
Yeah.
in every aspect. And of course, the university makes the city, which makes it even more interesting, no?
It is a college
Uh,
town. Yeah.
yeah.
It's just Ann Arbor was very welcoming place. For me particularly, it was because there was a really was I don't know what it's now, but there was a really nice Bulgarian community, mostly people that were working at the university or Pfizer was at the time uh, in Ann Arbor, and so there was a really nice community for me to welcome me when I first came. They became my second family, and
Mhm.
so I still have with all of them. I have connections, and one of the families, especially that are exactly our age. I mean, not. I mean, about our age. We travel around the world together. We are actually going to Mexico in a month together, and we've been hiking the mountains in Bulgaria and traveling. This summer we were supposed to. Oh, my cat just, just made a landing on the piano. Yeah,
um,
I know.
and and not only that, but Katri mentioned at some point that there are many of our peers from our times as students that now are teachers. So at the University of Michigan, which is I think is just fabulous,
Right,
no?
yeah, absolutely. The
And
connection.
and there are many of our peers too that still live in Ann Arbor, like
That's
Katri.
right. Some of my
Caroline.
friends, went away, but then a lot of them came back and
Mhm.
actually lived there because it's such a beautiful, lovely city. I get to go there at least once a year. As I said, we still have good friends. I was there just a month ago in October, a couple of months ago almost. We went to one of, as I think I mentioned to you, my son is a competitive fencer, so he had a tournament in Michigan, in Troy, actually, not too close, but about an hour. So we went to Ann Arbor, stayed with the friends, and just got to see the place again. I love Ann Arbor. It's an amazing place.
Me too. Annie, I think many of your friends, they are here watching. I say your friends because I see the names and I could imagine they might be from your Bulgaria.
Yeah, yeah.
So, so I want to thank you, Annie, for being with me this morning and with all of us, and for sharing your life experience. And I'm so happy that you're doing great in Chicago, and I'm so looking forward also to hear about your new projects that will come probably hopefully soon.
Yeah, hopefully. One of them was a new CD with Beethoven's music that was supposed to be released now in October,
I
but
read about it.
yeah, we
Yeah.
couldn't
Mhm.
record, and so things kind of
Yeah.
got screwed up a little bit. But next year,
But don't you think this is something that I posted in my Facebook? Don't you think that this is, I mean, this year 2020, which is supposed to be the 250 anniversary of Beethoven birth, is like it's like it's it was meant to be like this. You know, to go through this year, you need the Beethovenian energy,
I
no?
know survival and show a fist in the face of fate.
But also like
Survive.
this will of willpower, no, like comes from within. It's like i I go through obstacles and I win, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Overcome them. Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly the Beethovenian spirit. And what a beautiful uh, what a beautiful thought. That's actually I've never thought about it this way, but I was kind of sad because all those fantastic concerts that were planned you know, to celebrate the 250th anniversary of Beethoven's birth. And, you know, all orchestras had, you know, full cycles of the symphonies. You know, the complete Beethoven sonatas were planned here for the piano series at the orchestra hall, and so on and so on. So many. I mean, my city was going to be dedicated to that anniversary as well, and so many plans got canceled. So I was kind of sad, and I was thinking that's not, you know, the year we were expecting. I was excited about this year because Beethoven is probably my favorite composer. He's my musical hero. Mm-hmm. And but now the perspective that how you're spinning this is actually pretty beautiful. I think I'm going to
it's like,
and keep it with me. That
like,
actually.
It's like he's testing us, just saying, how much Beethoven energy do you have within
to survive this? Absolutely, because he was somebody who had to fight all his life for his place in society, for his he was losing his hearing, for his health, and it was a hard life he had, and he persevered, and he knew his value, and wow, that's actually very beautiful. Beautiful way of looking at this. Love how you think.
Well, thank you, Annie, for the conversation, from this UMICH conversation that I call them, UMICHile. And
what an awesome, yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us this morning, and I will see you this coming Sunday.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Ale. It was a great pleasure to reconnect, and thanks for having me. Let's keep talking.
Yes, absolutely.
And plotting. We should do things and
yes.
Save the world.
So bye-bye, Annie.
Bye. Thank you so much for